Matt Gaetz intellectually owns Bill Maher on multiple occasions throughout this. And there's one point when Bill Maher is kind of like, okay, we're just going to talk about something else, because Matt Gaetz just basically pins him to the mat, intellectually on some of this stuff. But this is them talking about the anti-war debt.
If you're talking about the use of force to achieve your political goals, I think it's somewhat on topic.
It's not like the left doesn't do a version. I mean, they should not have been bitching about Trump is not a legitimate president. He's that was wrong. I agree. It's very different than actually trying to stay in power. We just had January 6th. It went off smoothly without a hitch. Everyone places. Okay, the rehearsal went great, and now we do it and we go home. But that's not what have happened.
See, this is the thing too. The Democrats want to pretend like, oh, see, we're better because we didn't try to overthrow the government like January 6th. Well, first of all, there was literally no doubt about what happened this election cycle. It was pretty obvious. It was a pretty decisive victory. Let's put it that way. If you remember the 2019 election, what happened? Let's just take a real quick trip down memory lane here, back to the 2019 election, real quick. I don't know if you remember this or not, but when the tallies were kind of like being finalized the night, Trump had won. And then all of a sudden, a bunch more votes just spilled into the system, and then Trump lost. That's how election. So to the January 6th people's credit, that was a little bit fishy, and that's one of the reasons I think you didn't see, like this time, even when Clinton lost in 2016, it was close enough that, they were able to go, oh, Russia did it, and people bought it for a long time, So, that's just how it is. But these guys trying to act like they're the bigger people, like, bro, George Bush, Al Gore, in fucking in the second Bush, I think it was 2004, the Bush-Kerry election, like they totally like rigged some shit in Ohio, and in 2000 it was Florida, so it was like all of a sudden, now that all the neocons are Democrats, they're like, oh, how dare the Republicans question the results of the election, like the Democrats have been doing for years and years, literally.
Happened if you guys had lost, and that.
Bill, you understand
that is an asymmetry you have to address.
Okay, let me address it. You're right. This past week we had a wonderful January 6th. The last time we had a Republican president elected and Democrats did not object to the electors, do you know when the last time that was?
See, this is the kind of bullshit.
No, look, it was 1988. It was 1988 the last time they didn't object to Republicans. They objected to George W. Bush winning Ohio.
Object is different than calling the Justice Department and pressuring them to do things that even his own Justice Department wouldn't do.
Like what, Bill? Like, there's nothing that the Trump administration did in that election cycle that was out of the ordinary. And eventually Trump conceded and went home. Yeah, but you also have to admit, again, there were some kind of fishy things going on that year. So anyway, let me let them finish.
It's different than calling the guy in Georgia and saying, find me 11,000 votes. It's different than going to court with all these ridiculous cases that were laughed out of every courtroom. It's different than actually sending fake electors. Don't give me bullshit and we'll be friends.
But again, Bill forgets how actually earlier in this clip, Bill admitted that the Democrats being fake about Russia and in manufacturing this whole narrative was not okay, and so he totally leaves out all the shit they did, like the lawfare, like the ridiculous court cases, like, oh, he inflated the value of his real estate. That's what you do in business. You inflate the value of something and then you negotiate down. You always start high. The E. Jean Carroll suit was dragged out of the gutter, from years ago. They literally changed the goddamn statute of limitations for a year. This idea that it's not like equal, like one side's worse than the other, you. No, it's not. Your side's a little more, better at marketing their maneuvers at the moment, but it's all there. It's all there.
Bullshit me? No, we'll still be friends, but then I'll think you're a hack instead of someone who could actually have an honest conversation and admit this asymmetry exists.
I don't believe it's asymmetrical at all. When you look at the way the Democratic Party used an authoritarian bum rush to get Joe Biden out of the race and replace him with Harris. What was it? Was that
another great point? And this is what I was talking about earlier, where Bill Maher has to concede that he's wrong.
Was that the great sacrifice to the virtue of democracy and the great rejection of authoritarianism was swapping her out for him like it's some Mississippi Square dance?
Okay. I'm just going to end this part of our discussion by saying,
I'm just going to, yeah. So that's what I was saying. Gaetz just kind of fucking intellectually bitch slapped him. He's like, oh, hey, remember your primary where they tried to sell you a fucking senile dude? And then when it didn't work and they propped his ass up on stage and he froze in front of the headlights and had a Mitch McConnell-esque stroke. Then we just hurried and swapped out his VP without any voting. In fact, we crushed voting to make sure we could put him over. We sued RFK Jr. and other third-party candidates off the ballots. Remember that, Bill? And Bill's like, oh, let's talk about something else. It's time to talk about something else now.
Think I just looking in your eye, talking to you, not the media guy I saw. You're a lot brighter than I thought you were.
See, there you go. You're a lot brighter than I thought you were. Yeah, because the media paints these people as these like Marjorie Taylor Greene is another great example of the media painting someone to be this dumb fuck. And then you actually listen to her talk and she's fucking smart. She's sharp, a lot sharper than Joe Biden is. And then you realize your perception of these political figures is through someone else's eyes. You're not. And this is the realization I had about Trump is I went like, okay, wait a minute. Everything I perceive about this person is through the eyes of people that fucking viscerally hate him and are trying to keep him away from the office of president. And I think obviously that's why he won this cycle, because a lot of people saw that.
It's not bright.
Yeah.
And what gave you that impression?
Like everything you've said and done. No, and also because the media is I just never like talk.
I like this about Bill though, because you also have to give Bill credit for going like, oh wow, like Matt Gaetz is actually really smart. And the media perception, which he just cited, is why I thought he probably was a dumbass, because that's what the media is making us hate each other. I realize this all the time. I get out into the world and I talk to people. People are fucking smart. People are a lot smarter than they get credit for. And we're just like on our computers and our fucking phones all day, like, oh, everyone's fucking stupid. Americans are stupid Nazis, fat, stupid Nazis, fat white supremacists, stupid Nazis. Even Kanye West is a white supremacist. And this next bit, Bill kind of asks Matt about the sexual assault allegations against him. And I thought this was good too, because this is another area where Bill's a lot more fair, I think, than most people would be in this conversation.
Up with one of them, and you could be that second option.
So people want to know two basic things.
Okay.
One, was he ever with an underage girl?
No.
Okay. I know you said that, and if the
no hesitation, no. I will give him that. That doesn't mean that it's not true or that it's true, but he didn't hesitate.
Justice Department had any evidence, and again, people are going to attack me. What are you doing? I'm not defending Matt Gaetz. I'm telling the truth as to what it is. And if you don't want to hear the truth, you're the hack.
Yes. I applaud Bill for that. That's the new media landscape. That's why Joe Rogan and fucking Jimmy Dore are so beloved, because they fucking tell the truth. They don't live inside one of these partisan echo chambers.
Justice Department, this was Biden's Justice Department, declined. I can't believe Biden's Justice Department wouldn't have wanted to get you if there was something.
Exactly.
So the fact that they said, we got nothing, tells me something, that they had nothing. Now, I don't know what anybody does behind closed doors. There's lots of scandals about lots of people, but I got to go with that.
No criminal.
So I put that aside.
Okay.
Second thing they want to know is, what he was doing considered prostitution? So that's what we're talking about now. And I couldn't agree with you more. Like the Beverly Hills housewife who really hates her husband now, but sticks around and fucks him a few times a year because she doesn't want to give up the big house. To me, that's much more prostitution. That is textbook doing something you hate just for the money. Same thing if he stays with her for the same reason, because he can't afford to get divorced. That's prostitution. But, okay, I wrote down the quote. There is this, okay. Well, first of all, you said giving someone money you're dating that they didn't ask for. That's prostitution now? So, yeah, okay, that's your exact quote. But there's this in a text. I guess this is from your girlfriend at the time.
This is good.
Talking about you and your wingman. The guys are a little short this week. If it can be more of a customer appreciation week, Matt. Now, were there coupons involved? I just have to ask the tough questions. Were there coupons?
Bill,
Okay,
this is a text message I neither sent nor received. Another person is sending this message, presumably about me, to tell other women that they shouldn't ask for money. It sounds like the person who sent that message really wanted to be the great recipient of any generosity and didn't want her friends to also be the recipient of that generosity.
This is what he just pointed out here. I want to pause here for a second and point this out, because this is what I noticed they do with Trump. The January 6th thing, when they had the Cassidy Hutchins or whatever the fuck her name was, Cassie Hutchins or whatever. Cassidy Hutchins, or this fucking woman, gets on the stand and basically repeats a story that someone else told her. You know what I mean? And it's like this is what they're trying to get Matt Gaetz based on a text that someone else sent to someone else. It didn't even come to his phone. It's just so, and he goes, presumably about me, which is, but again, it's like, this is how deep they have to, how fucking like twice removed they get with this shit just so they can smear people in the media like this. It's fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
You're telling me that makes me some sort of criminal? I didn't send this message. I didn't receive this message. I'm referenced in it because one woman is telling other women, "Hey, there's no generosity for you."
So the phrase "customer appreciation week," you never knew that before you saw it in this text? Okay, what about this one? Add to cart. Oh, I'm joking.
Here they're going to talk about the misinformation era, and I thought this was really good. And Bill impressed me on this.
That was your big.
You have to be. I mean, Zuckerberg just made a big deal about free speech, and I'm behind him on it because I think he's right. He's doing a kind of a mea culpa, like we fact check too much. And look, is there a lot of misinformation? Yeah, but also misinformation has become like a code word for just stuff we don't like. You know,
Yep.
COVID started in a lab. Well, we just don't think that should be out there. So that's well, it wasn't misinformation. Shit like that. Not to have to tell
and the
you
stuff that's true, when people were posting the true side effects of some of these vaccines, you had folks in the White House pressuring social media platforms to get that taken down, and it wasn't even false, but it was just.
And listen, you can say what you want about Zuckerberg too. I'm of the Whitney Webb school with him. I don't trust him. You know, he went along too easily before, where I think someone like Elon Musk, you know, say what you want about Elon and his Nazi salute. There are millions upon millions of people on Twitter right now criticizing Elon, calling Elon a Nazi, and he's not. He might be shadow banning some of them. Who, you know, he does seem that petty, but there are people doing it. His platform, you know, say what you will about it. Most of the shit I saw about Gaza was on fucking Twitter X. It's a tough tightrope to walk because, you know, I'm not an Elon Musk stan, but just look at the nature of the last couple of years and the platform that Twitter has been, you know, Twitter X has been, it's been the most open platform regardless, you know, which is, you know, maybe the bar's low. You could argue that. And there's Elon's definitely swinging for the Zio team. Let's put it that way. But, anyway, let me finish this out real quick.
Derogatory to the narrative that they were trying to spin at the time, that should not be allowed. And I think the more you decentralize that away from the fact checker model to the community notes model, the more you make it durable to that type of government influence.
Yeah. So
community notes, again, like another thing I will applaud Elon for, and I say this all the time. People laughed at him and pointed when he was like, "Oh, I'm going to charge people for a blue check." Now they all do it. So there's one more piece of this I want to show you where they talk about marijuana, because as you know, that is an issue near and dear to my heart. And listen to this little tidbit right here. Good stuff.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad.
You don't smoke pot anymore, right?
I won't with you. It would mess with like all the Molly I took on the way here.
I love it.
Weren't you one of the most forthright ones to want to put forward legalization for pot laws?
I'm very pro
Right.
marijuana reform. I wrote Florida's first, second, and third marijuana
But
laws.
it just failed there.
Well, the vote on going from medical to adult use. Now in Florida, you have to go.
But it did. It was on the ballot. It
didn't fail.
How could fucking nutty, crazy, bath salt, alligator,
don't with the Florida trash.
Not be illegal for pot?
Well, we don't allow the homeless to degrade infrastructure to the point where it hurts the firefighters.
Different issue. and the liberals have completely fucked
Matt
up
with the
that issue.
snapbacks. Matt with the snapbacks. We don't allow homeless people to degrade infrastructure.
It's in my brilliant special that's on probably now or just was. Is anybody else seeing this? I talk about it, liberal versus woke as far as homeless goes. No, I mean, trust me, the liberals have a lot to answer for, and I call them out on all of it, which again is why they don't like me, and I don't give a fuck.
You talk a lot. You know what? I wonder if you give a fuck because you talk about it a lot.
I do.
You advertise how much it affects you by talking about it.
I love Gaetz comes in hard. I'm honestly shocked that Bill Maher posted parts of this without editing them out, like that first part when he says the shit about politically incorrect and Maher freaks out. But even like this part too, Gaetz just calls him out on it. He's like, you talk about it a lot. You obviously do care about it. You obviously do care that the left hates you.
No,
because I don't even
no.
I view you as a libertarian.
No, all I'm doing is reminding people of my brand. My brand is almost unique, not completely.
And Bill, you would make fun of millennials on TikTok for doing that, so you need to shut up, man. Anyway, that's a good interview. Some really good stuff in there. I love Gaetz's response to the marijuana thing. He's like, I wouldn't want it to mess up the Molly I took on the way over here.